All right, so the first tutorial / workshop type video has gone out on Blender Halt channel and it's doing well, which is great. It's a lighting workshop. Now, I'm using the terms tutorial and workshop interchangeably. Workshop seems to feel better. When we're talking about tutorial, I feel like there's like an end goal that I'm showing you how to get to. I feel like the term workshop is more kind of synonymous with if we were sitting down in a workshop together and doing it, talking through concepts. In the case of that tutorial, I didn't actually know what the end goal would be. It was all improvised. So I don't know, I just kind of feel like that feels more appropriate. The Rating People Setups video has gone out on the main channel, and as predicted, that is performing awfully, which is fine because I kind of expected that. It's just a downward hill. I did have a couple of pretty good videos recently because they're very relevant news ones about Project Gold and Blender 4.3 and the sculpt mode. So it just kind of goes back into this idea of, the main channel is going to be a news reporting channel in the future because that's what people respond to. But it also means, again, kind of predictably, and I hate this, that the new Blender Halt video on one of my smallest channels is going to start outperforming main channel videos, which is... It's got like 300 subs. It's great. I hate this. But at least I know what's going on. So I've got to tidy up. Now I've kind of proven to myself that the way I'm laying things out is actually okay for posting to like 100 different social accounts. Basically, I'm getting into the mindset of posting everywhere, even if they don't have followers. So there are social accounts for like the Kurt Studio channel, even though there are no followers. I've built the engine. Now I'm just running the engine, getting it warmed up. On my desk in front of me, I have random pieces of notepaper that I'm done with. They've been condemned with the X. So I keep everything that I write on to recycle it for like physical art content. And also if I was ever going to scan these in with my scanner and use them for like digital material content. So I'm going to put these over on the other side of the room. Next up, let's charge the Hoover. But now... tools and equipment, these go back by the 3D printer. Physical space. Black Friday is still going on at the time of making this. That's been doing okay. I wish I had more stuff to push about it, but I do kind of feel bad about overly pushing that because even I get annoyed at all of the Black Friday emails and stuff that I'm getting from other creators. I get that it is annoying. So my plan going forward now that my engine is set up is to start scaling up content production. So this means doing things the way I've always done it, but now with the context of a better workflow, but then also trying some new techniques. For example, when it comes to things like community roundup videos, I've always made like a list of community projects, then had to go back and then like add notes about all of them and then procrastinate to the recording day and then speak about them. I'm wondering whether it would just be better to record all of it progressively. So instead of recording it all on one day later on, doing it literally in the moment when I find the project, which might be weird because if I like then compile all the clips together, then I'd be wearing like a different shirt every day and I'd look scruffy and sound different, but fuck it, because the main channel's not giving me anything, so might as well put a bit less effort into it, which is kind of ironically being the thing that we've always said about YouTube, me and every other creator. It always seems to be the case that the less effort you put into a video, the more you get back from it, which is a weird twisted way to feel about it, but might be worth it. So the way I was thinking about doing it was every time I find a project, I'll do 2 very quick recordings. One is a widescreen for a roundup project, a roundup video, and one is a vertical recording for shorts to go out on different channels. So the shorts will be recorded directly on my vertical monitor, which I can't bring over to you, but I love having my little vertical portable monitor now. Right, I got some rubbish to throw away. Brawn shaver head. Just got a message from Charon asking me to try Adobe Fresco. And recently I've had a message from someone by the username of Pigu, who, alongside their friend, have made a helper add-on for Chris and my Hexscatter tool, because it's a little bit tedious setting up like all these textures to use Hexscatter. And I did some convenience scripts just to help assign everything, but they found that still a little bit too difficult to use from a usability standpoint. So they sent a message to me asking if they would be able to like sell their add-on that they've made, so long as it didn't contain Hexscatter content. I said, yeah, sure, with a couple of conditions. The one being that the price should not exceed Hexscatter, and that we'd be allowed to have 50% affiliate links, so if I wanted to do a video about it in the future, then I could. Also, another thing that's happened is Gixo, my hero and savior for the Modular Workspaces project, has just gone ahead and updated it for me. I don't know why he does it, it's brilliant. He's like made it compatible with the asset shelf. I don't feel like I deserve all that help, but it's amazing. So I'm going to need to review that soon and maybe do a video about that. Now, for moving stuff between this computer and the main one, got a new hot swap bay. I did already have one for this, but I don't know if you watched my last video. It's been a bit more of a depressing one. I mentioned about tinnitus, and I'm extremely sensitive to certain sounds. And I noticed that the power plug for the hot swap bay I was using was producing a high-pitched noise that other ones weren't, and it was really pissing me off like over time. I couldn't tell in my ear with my headphones on whether that was my tinnitus or like another frequency coming from the room. So I'm gonna try this one instead. Dust cap. Staubschutzabdeckung. It's a dust cap which protects the unused docking from dust. Please keep away from small children. Oh, I can't go near it then. All right, let's see. Oh, I love the smell of new plastic, even though it's probably carcinogenic. So if this sits behind, it should be long enough to plug into the computer. This is like a similar kind of power plug, but we'll see if it makes a high-pitched noise. I've also been thinking about how, like recently I've been taking some calcium supplements, not every day because I'm afraid of kidney stones, but for helping with my balance issues, and it seems to be giving me a protective effect. So that's really interesting. But it might be the case that around the time I started taking the calcium supplements, my new forms of tinnitus appeared. And I did some research and it turns out that yes, calcium, believe it or not, is linked to tinnitus development. So I've got to do some tests with that. All right, let's try this. Testing. Oh, I didn't plug the USB in. Whoops. What about now? Sweet. That works, and I can't hear any high-pitched sound. Amazing. So that's a good replacement for the hot swap drive for computer number 2, codenamed Codex. But my computers have names. This one's had Codex for a while. All right, this particular hot swap bay is from Sebrent. I've got one of theirs already, and I do prefer them, to be honest. I mean, they look a bit, you know, things always look cheap when they're over-stylized and sci-fi like that, but no, they seem to work really well compared to some of my other ones. Boring. Okay. Now, I've said in the past, I like to keep things like the plastic bags and even little tie things like this because they can be useful for like small projects, you know, keeping things together, cabling, that type of stuff. I'm not one to just produce excess waste. And I might also keep the box to recycle for sending things to people if I need to. Because if you're just sending something to someone you know, then it doesn't matter what's on it. I suppose that too. Right. I'll put that to throw away. I've got a space for all of this stuff around in my little equipment corner where I keep all like the peripherals and like spare materials and stuff. Now I want to try and organize this desk a bit better. You can't see all of it, probably for the best, but it's just like lots of random USB sticks and stuff. At the moment, again, because I like hot swapping for security reasons, not keeping all the computers connected together, I'm just like holding sticks, plugging into one, bringing to the other, etc. So when I release videos and I want to post to social accounts on here, I'm bringing like the images, like the thumbnails over to do that. Let's speed up. What I'm going to do now is just have a quick look on my Notion. I'm getting an iPad soon, but for now I'm using this Surface Go. Obviously I check my Notion over there as well, but while I'm here it's just nice having something I can look at. Now I used to share what my Notion looked like a while back, but I don't want to show you too much because I've got, you know, personal details and stuff on it. But I have a particular page called Focus Projects where I track everything, and the structure has changed so much over time. I've even got like a formula for figuring out what will do well on certain channels, which has actually been quite accurate, even though I don't listen to it a lot of the time, because again, I don't think obsessing over performance is a particularly healthy thing to do. You need to throw good things in. But generally, according to the formula, things that do well on the main channel are compilation type roundups that are generalized, that are newcomer friendly, that incite a high curiosity, are not personal to me, although allow me to express high personality during the video, while containing high educational value that can be segmented into smaller offshoot videos like shorts. Typically, they do allow for sponsorships and affiliate placements and potentially products. So it sounds kind of weird when you put it that way, right? But that's what the graph shows. I'm sure people would pay a fair bit of money for that, but again, whatever. Now that what I just described to you is what I call the scrutiny section. So if I do want to think about, hey, I actually want this video to do well, then you would scrutinize it by putting it into the formula and then try and figure that out. Again, I don't really do that now, but it's, you know, interesting to have it there. Then I've got something called the series lists. So it's basically a table where I keep track of things that have been made to then be pushed to things. So if I'm putting together a newsletter, like newsletter 28 for my Gumroad mailing list will be the next one, then inside that section of the table, I put everything that I've been doing that I think is relevant to the newsletter. So when I go back in there, I can see it. Same thing with Patreon, community roundups, and all sorts of other series. And then have this AI LLM helper section. Again, I don't really go too over the top with AI stuff. I know that a lot of people basically make only videos that AI recommends them to do. Again, I don't really do that, but I've got the tool there if I need it. That's kind of what I like feeling. All of these things. I hate being one of those, you know, Mr. Beast-defying grind set people, but I have it there if I want it, even though I don't really. Then I've got free longboard views here. So the middle one is stuff that I need to record and or I have recorded, but I'm working on. The lower one is all stuff that needs to be released. So every column, and again, I know you can't see this in detail because privacy, every column on this board represents a different brand or channel output. So we got like Curtis Holt Exclusive, Studio, Blender Holt Parasocial, Curtis Holt Online Alternative, and some other things. And they've all got some admin info related to how to like write the descriptions and stuff. There is a very top board view, which is called the series building, but I'm going to change it to the preparation. So like when I'm working in Blender and if I discover something interesting, I tend to like make a little post here about it. So I can keep track of what things are interesting to post to social media or what could be added to like the future video and stuff like that. The idea being is, and again, I need to do a bit more work on organizing this, when I'm just working on things I want to do, so again, thinking about the artist and the reporter, if I'm just working on what I want to, then I'm living at the top of this focus page. It's a bit like a waterfall or a funnel. So I'm just working at the top when I'm doing whatever I want, and I'm just writing interesting things in here that I've made. Then the next one, like we said, is what I need to record or what I'm working on. So stuff gets siphoned down into here, and then when that's ready, the bottom one is what to release. And the good thing about having this free section is if you just feel like releasing things but not working on anything, then you can totally just ignore the top two and just live in the third board for the day and just release things as it goes. So over the years and a lot of experimentation, this is what it's boiled down to now. I've tried hundreds of different things, methods, layouts, etc., and just trying to combine everything into one thing. This is the result. Maybe I should do a video once I'm a bit more comfortable with it, showing this layout. Again, I used to be more expressive and interested in sharing like the actual like workflow environment in older videos, but because I know it's been subject to so much change, as has everything in this room in my life, kind of feels a bit redundant showing like methods like that if you know it's going to be changing like next week. There are some improvements to make, but again, I like this waterfall method, as I'm calling it now. A waterfall method is nothing new, but it's just the way I'm doing it with this like free board layout, like free horizontal things that can like flex and grow as stuff is added to them, seems to be working quite well because it makes sense like chronologically. This is your workflow, but none of it's intrusive really. You have this desire to make the boards as thin as possible by releasing content and getting it out the way. So what I'll do now is I'm just improvising this video. It doesn't really have a story to it, but I can look at the studio section. So I'll be like, okay, to create the studio section is empty at the moment because I haven't concepted ideas, but there is a stories section and I can do stories on here. So let's go into the stories list. So 2 stories I need to tell: South Africa and firepower in film. So now I know that if I'm in a recording mood, I could do one of these now or any other day, get out the way, and then I'll just add it to my board of things that I'm working on. I've noticed that I've also started doing some other little workflow things while I'm on the computer. So a while ago, I kind of moved to this naming convention thing when I'm naming my folders for video projects. So if it's something for the main channel, it'll be M underscore and then like a short tagline for the video. So if it's a video about Blender 4.3, it'll be M underscore Blender 4.3, and that'll be the name of the project. If it's something for the studio channel, it'll be S underscore Blender. If it's a short to go on like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, it'll be SH underscore something. If it's an exclusive video, it'll be E underscore. If it's a Blender Holt video now, it's BH underscore. So that's something I started doing for organization. And now, because if you're looking at a list in a folder of all the videos you're editing, it gets a bit cluttered. You don't know which ones are done and which aren't. I've started putting an X before them, the ones that are done, that is. So I know that they'll move to the bottom of the list and it's very visually easy to see that they're complete. That's nothing I looked up. That's just, there are these little things that I'm just gravitating towards. Like I have a feeling, yeah, I should do this just to make it a bit easier for me to read. People probably already do this. You know, maybe that's something you want to try if you're like trying to manage a lot of projects. I've always done the underscore thing to move stuff to the top of the folder list. So if you've got like a lot of items in the underscore for the top, X to say something's done moves it to the bottom, and whatever's in between is stuff you need to work on. There's always a balance, right? Because when it comes to workflow tools like Notion, we are like tracking lots of tasks. If you're too obsessed with the layout of it, you're never going to use it. You don't realize that in theory, organization will help you, but it won't if it's too complex, which is why I keep everything on one page. I used to have many pages. I never looked to the rest of them. So it's all on one page now. And I've learned that. So whenever I make changes to the layout, it's only in response to how I'm using it, not designed beforehand, because I don't know how I'll be using it if I design it previously. So in that way, it's kind of grown organically, which is really the best way to do it. and I do use it every single day. I can't live without Notion now. I mean, I've been thinking a bit about this, I could probably just use a notepad file to organize everything, but it wouldn't be as good because it's nice to be able to go into specific ideas and add like a whole bunch of data for it. So while I'm here, I'm looking at the list of stories to tell in my series list, and I'm having this compulsion to clear it out. So what I might do now is end the recording, start working on something like that. So thanks for hopping along, stay safe, and I will see you next time.